The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 5 minutes. Follow the show on Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app and be a part of the show via the live interactive chat room. You can text your thoughts to 404-902-8104. Check out the Facebook live stream at facebook.com/OneMicWithBigMike. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 4 minutes. Follow the show on Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app and be a part of the show via the live interactive chat room. You can text your thoughts to 404-902-8104. Check out the Facebook live stream at facebook.com/OneMicWithBigMike. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 3 minutes. Follow the show on Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app and be a part of the show via the live interactive chat room. You can text your thoughts to 404-902-8104. Check out the Facebook live stream at facebook.com/OneMicWithBigMike. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 2 minutes. Follow the show on Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app and be a part of the show via the live interactive chat room. You can text your thoughts to 404-902-8104. Check out the Facebook live stream at facebook.com/OneMicWithBigMike. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 1 minute. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 30 seconds. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
One mic.
I'm back.
It's the One Mic with Big Mike show. Live.
There ain't no goddamn tape.
Interactive and on demand. One Mic. Yeah, a sports show.
The best move of LeBron's career, man, was dragging his sweaty ball sack right across Draymond Green's the nape of his neck and getting that dude suspended.
And so much more.
What's going on right now with Donald Trump? This is America, and it tickles me to death when white people are so shocked and appalled by it.
What? It's the One Mic with Big Mike show.
Of course, it's like anything, like ammonia or you sniffing glue is gonna get you high.
You've been warned. The One Mic with Big Mike show starts now. Here he is.
He's real cocky, he's real loudmouth, he's real flamboyant. He don't cow down to people.
Big Mike.
Yeah, man. Welcome in to the One Mic with Big Mike show here on a hump day. Back off of a long, unanticipated break due to some technical difficulties that I experienced from hurricane. Well, I guess when they got here, it was Tropical Storm Irma. Talk about that here in a second. The show's being heard live right now on Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. Also, Spreaker has an app, so make sure you download that from your app store to your mobile device. You can also hear me live on TuneIn. And, of course, my website, onemicwithbigmike.com, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7 o'clock. Also, got the live Facebook stream popping right now, so head on over to my Facebook page if you're one of those people who like to watch. You can catch it at One Mic with Big Mike on Facebook at the number one MICWITHBIGMIKE. That's the same handle you want to use for my Twitter and my Instagram. So give your boy some likes, holler at me, like my Facebook page, all those good things. The show is interactive. Please believe, especially today. You know, I got my man Matt Lutovsky from the Sporting News, my fantasy football expert, joining me at the top of next hour to answer all your fantasy football lineup questions. So if you want to interact, if you got lineup questions, you want to get involved in the conversation, there's a couple different ways you can do so. One, you can text the show at 404-902-8104. That's 404-902-8104. You can jump inside this live interactive chat room Spreaker has set up for me here, where it's much more interactive, where you guys can have conversations amongst yourselves within the chat room. You can chat with me. You can, exchange ideas. If I screw something up, which I will probably 100 times today during the show, you can correct me and call me an idiot. All those things. To get inside the chat room is quite easy. You must be listening via Spreaker or via my website, onemicwithbigmike.com. You'll see a thought bubble icon on the streaming player. Just click that thought bubble icon, and it'll get you inside my live and interactive chat room. Also, while you're there, click the little heart icon as well as those share icons. Share me with your friends. Let your people know I'm here. It's a little bit different. It's sports talk, but it's politics. It's social issues. It's pop culture. It's everything wrapped up into one ball of wax, because that's just how my mind works. For those of you who haven't heard the show before. And also, of course, you can leave your comments and questions and criticisms below the live streaming video here on Facebook as well. Shout out to Tara Edmondson checking in early here on Facebook. Also, my man Jordan Agho, I guess that's Agho, Agho. Shout out to y'all checking in on the Facebook live stream, man. Like I mentioned, it's been a while, man, since I got a chance to talk to you guys, man. And unfortunately, get this out the way right now as well. This will be the only show for this week, because I'll explain to you why this has to happen this way. So the reason I hadn't been here in over a week to this point, almost a week and a half, my cable and my internet were down. I got transported back to 1985. For whatever reason, Comcast couldn't stay afloat through a little rain and wind when, where I live at, I didn't lose power or anything like that when the storm came through. The lights flickered for a second, but I'm like, okay, what good is power other than the fact that, I need to keep food in the refrigerator fresh and in the deep freezer and those things. Yeah, power's cool for those things, but I had stuff to do, man. I got work to do. I got, research to do for my shows and all that. I was in the dark ages, and I'm not one of those people. If I ever in life have to depend on social media as my main source of information, yeah, dead it. I can't do that. That's not going to be my mode of getting solid information, because social media is idiotic and it'll lead you astray in a minute. At any given minute, it'll lead you astray. So that was the situation as far as that's concerned. I offer up no apologies because I did nothing wrong. I will say this though, I'm done dealing with Comcast. Like everything is back up now, but on Friday, the good folks, well, I ain't gonna call them good folks yet because they'll probably end up pissing me off at some point as well. But AT&T Uverse is they're in my neighborhood now, so there's some competition. Like that was the big thing because I don't want no satellite situation. I want to be dealing with that. And also, you got to have internet. You got to have your internet situation good. So they got like fiber optics and whatever that is in my neighborhood now. So they'll be out here on Friday, which means I can't do a show on Friday because they're going to come out here at 12. And they say it's going to take like 4 hours to hook up whatever they got to hook up on Friday. And I'm taking Comcast stuff back immediately. So that's going to cut into any time that I want to do any type of research or anything. Again, the internet and cable is going to be down while they're hooking it up. So I'm not going to be able to do the stuff I want to do. So today will be the one show for the week, and then next week we'll get back to normal. So while I was gone, I do this all the time. Well, not all the time. When I miss more than a couple days, I got to go back and start thinking about what happened while I wasn't here. I mentioned already the storms, more storms coming. The folks in Puerto Rico getting bombarded. They're getting massacred by these damn storms. These islands are getting wiped out. No power, like third world country situations, man. So, shout to them, man. They're like, for you people who just, when are y'all gonna get tired, man? Posting, pray for so-and-so. Did you pray for them last week? And then the storm still wiped them out? And then and then it wiped them out again this week. So obviously the ones that you did last week didn't work. Like this chick, she tagged me in some Facebook post of some guy in Houston. One dude now complaining about how the Red Cross is just down there because I'm the one I get on my show and I say, look, man, if you can go in your pocket and come up with a couple dollars, man, damn all that praying for these people, you know what I'm saying? Come out your pocket with some dividends and some money. That's what they need. These people have lost everything, man. My wife is down there right now. My wife works for FEMA. So my wife is going, this other thing about these damn storms. My wife is going to be gone for like the next, at this point, 27 days to Florida. She's down there assessing damage and helping people in the best way that they can to repair their lives. These people have lost everything, man. So yeah, pray if you want to, right? That's whatever. I mean, I'm telling you, it doesn't work, but if that makes you feel better, but you know what to make them feel better? Actually having things like donating of clothes and toiletries and baby stuff and money. You know what I'm saying? So this dude, she tags me in this post about this dude is going off about these folks down here. They ain't trying. Mind you, this is like 2 days after the Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. 2 days. He's already assessed the fact that them folks are just down there to promote themselves, and they not helping people with the money that people are sending. I'm like, dude, how do you make that assessment already? And it's one dude, and this chick she tagged me in this post to prove to me some kind of way that the stuff that I'm saying doing is for naught. Look, man, here's the thing: if I'm getting taken for my $10, I'd rather gamble on my $10 going or not going to some family in need than just saying, you know what I'm going to do? Talk to myself. Send good thoughts and vibes. Because you MFers don't have magical powers. So if I'm going to gamble on something, yeah, I'll take that $10 or $20 out my pocket and just say, you know what? At least I know I did the right thing. Whatever happens after the fact happens, right? But my reality is a little bit different. Like I said, my wife works for FEMA. And I know she's down there, and I know how emotional she gets, and she gets wrapped up in other people's tragedies, and when she gets back, it's going to affect her. I know, and when I talk to her every night, I can tell it's affecting her. She's talking about she's not sleeping well down there, and all this kind of stuff. So to say that the people who are in positions to help aren't helping, so that gives you some sort of comfort in you doing nothing. Yeah, miss me with the craziness, miss me with the foolishness. The other stuff that happened while I was gone, a cell phone war broke out. people defending their cell phones, their Androids versus their Apple. Look, man, I put this on my social media. If you ever hear me going in on or going in on Android versus Apple, I invite you to put a gun in my mouth and empty the clip. Yeah, they not what people like. What is it? I don't know if it's going on white Twitter or white social media, but on black social media, we the kings of free promotion of folks, man. They're not paying you for that. You know, for you to defend their $1,000 phone. And by the way, the Android phone is what, $900? So it's not really that big a difference. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really like coming off like some sort of like frugal person because I'm going to get the Android. It's only $900. Look, man, if you got $900 to put on the phone, shout out to you. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it real. I don't have no reason to shade nobody else for wanting a brand new iPhone $1,000 phone. If you got it, my G, run it. You know what I mean? If I had an extra $1,000, not an extra $1,000, but like if I had it like that, yeah, I'd go get me a brand new, iPhone or whatever. I get the brand new one every time, but I don't. So I keep my same one I've had for the last 4 years. Works fine. You know what I mean? I'm doing, excuse me, an interview off of it today. You hear me coughing? Weather been changing, man. I know you can hear it in my voice. Your man Trump still bugging out. I keep telling you a-holes, he is going to end the world. The world's going to end via this dude, him and Lil Kim, the cat he's calling the bomb squad or the bomb man or whatever he's calling them, Rocket Man. Yeah, dude, they're going to end the world in 2017, effing around. Like, he's up there talking about they're going to wipe out a whole country. Yeah, before you can do that, you know what he's going to do? Wipe out a totally different country. Oh, man. It's 1960 something again, or 50 something, or 40 something again. Black kids getting lynched, and people just turning a blind eye to it. Oh man, that's rich. That's rich in so many different ways, man. Little mixed kid up in, I don't know, somewhere in the Northeast. Friends decided they wanted to put a rope around his neck and string him up. And I still don't know what the aftermath of that was. I just kept hearing people talking about they're young people. We don't want to jump to conclusions and all this kind of foolishness. Yeah, but and then soon I saw some rapper made a video depicting a white kid being hung, and people lost their damn mind. I was like, you realize you MFers are going much more crazy, much more ham over the kid that didn't really get hung than you did over the kid that did. America's a strange place. It's a real strange place. Don't forget, bottom of the hour, I'm going to take a look back into the annals of sports, give you guys some historical tidbits and factoid. My every show feature I call On This Day, so stay tuned for that. And like I mentioned at the top of the next hour, my man from Sporting News, my fantasy football expert, Matt Lutovsky, coming back on the show, get my fantasy football situation straight, you know what I mean? Got a big W last week after taking a huge L. I got what's the boy's name? The Hunt kid from Kansas City. He got all in my bunkie the other week. So I'm 1-1 in fantasy, headed for a championship, not another, but a championship. Up in St. Louis, murderous ass cops going free again. There's nothing, dude. I saw the stats last night. I was catching up on my episodes of Viceland, man. I saw the stats last night. 35 policemen have been convicted out of like 2,600 in the last couple of years. That's a terrible average. You know what I mean? That's a terrible, that's terrible, man. Especially when, like, at this point, it's just getting brazen. Like, this dude in St. Louis actually said, I'm going to kill this dude, and then killed him. You know what I mean? They talk about how they found a piece in the car, but the piece only had the police's DNA on it. This dude is free as I am right now. Feel me? Yeah, at some point, man, like these people, these white folks who love when things go foul to call for these peaceful protests, man, whatever. Like, I can't speak against these cats. These cats that's out in the streets breaking stuff, burning stuff. I can't speak against that, man. And not even because on some anger stuff, man. It's just because no one pays attention any other way. That peaceful, we shall overcome crap. These folks just go to work every day and ignore it. There's too many other things. There's too many other stimuli to keep your attention away from what's happening in the streets. People protesting murderous cops. Speaking of, this is a totally different spin on things. Here in Atlanta, white folks is down here begging the cops to kill them. This kid at Georgia Tech. Yeah, my man is just in the street. Called 911 on himself, too. If that ain't a white thing to do, call 911 on himself, describe himself as the assailant, what he was wearing, what he was doing, the fact that he thought the guy may have a gun, but the guy was actually him. This is all on tape, too, by the way. And you hear the police saying, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. He's saying, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. Then he goes toward the police and they shoot him. One time. And he dies at the hospital. I was just looking at something. This deaf dude. This deaf dude got shot and tased. Deaf cat had a pipe in his hand because he goes walking. And like around here, like old people go walking with sticks in their hands, so just in case some dogs come out at you or something. The people in the neighborhood yelling that my man, they telling him to like put the weapon down. He can't hear them. He's walking. I'm guessing he's walking towards them to be able to read their lips or whatnot. The people in the neighborhood are saying he can't hear you. He's deaf. He's deaf. He's deaf. One cop tases him. Simultaneously, the other cop shoots him. Where are we at now? Because the question I have is, why did one cop feel like a taser was sufficient, but the other cop felt like death was the only answer? This dude's death was the only answer to this problem that he was being faced with. It's a problem, man. You know what I'm saying? I saw another video of dude in his bedroom with a toy gun, got 2 clips unloaded on him. This white boy down here in Georgia Tech got 1 bullet, which tells me he just happened to die. They wasn't shooting to kill that dude. He made it all the way to the hospital. Like, these other cats is dying on the scene, pimp. And they got a nerve to riot down at Georgia Tech. My man left suicide notes and all kind of craziness. They got to know to be rioting and marching down there. That's why I say, man, things are getting out of control. This is why we're going to talk today, man. We're going to talk today about, like, people's overreaction, oversensitivity in the world and sports, everywhere, man. It's getting out of damn control. You understand what I'm saying? Because not everything requires a march. Everything requires a protest. And you know what's missing with a lot of these protests and these march? Your end game. What is it that you're attempting to gain? Like with the whole boycott the NFL situation, what are you doing? Some people say, there's so many different versions of it too. This is why I laugh at it. This is why you don't see me. I'm not going to ever be taking my ass down to no streets, marching and riding for nothing, man, until somebody can tell me beforehand, like, what's the end goal? Rosa Parks. We don't want to sit in the back of the bus no more. Selma. We don't want... We want our regular voting rights without all the jumping through the hoops and all this kind of stuff that our white counterparts don't have to go through. These things are very well defined. This stuff with Colin Kaepernick is ridiculous. He's not getting back in the NFL. And part of the reason I believe is because of all the ancillary things that he has nothing to do with. The fact that at this point, I'm going to say it again. You making these owners feel like if I hire this cat, I've been punked into hiring this dude. I've given in. I've negotiated. I've given the terrorists what they want, so to speak. Yeah, man. Damn all that. Especially when they can keep going and finding, Jacoby Brissett and whoever else. Okay. Some idiot from the 770 on the text line. By the way, you guys can text the show as well at 404-902-8104. 404-902-8104. 9/11 was an inside job. Well, there we go. The truthers are in the building. So nah, you know what I mean? But then, like I mentioned, there's so many different versions of the protest. Well, I'm not going to watch any other team. I'm going to watch my team. Okay, that means you're watching two teams then. Well, I heard one dude say he's just going to listen on the radio. Yeah, my G. Because the NFL doesn't have they don't get any revenue from that, any ad revenue from the radio broadcast. All the other ones, man, like dudes are still watching the highlights or whatever. It's like, come on, man. It makes no sense what you're doing, because eventually that drug called the NFL is going to call you back. You're going to need a hit of it. And like that whole like thing where now everything's about shaming, and people think they can shame you. You know, you're like a slave if you're watching the NFL right now. All right, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things I won't argue with somebody over. Shout out to the homie Steve Socali, checking in on Facebook, on the Facebook live stream. What up, homie? My voice sounds horrible, man. I'm so like congested and phlegmy and so disgusting. Anyway, the other big thing that I missed last week before I get out of this segment, and I'll probably carry it over to the next segment. I missed out on the whole Jemele Hill thing, man. The entire thing just kind of came and went, and I'm sitting on the bench, not able to offer up anything, man. I'll say this about her. Well, first, the tweet, right? The tweet that she said Donald Trump's a racist and he's a white supremacist. And it's like, all right. And water's wet and fire is hot and the sky is blue. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to tell y'all something. What's real talk in New York, man. In 2017, like calling a white person racist is like, I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like the worst of the worst. And the reaction to so many times is awesome. Like I put a post on my social media at One Mic with Big Mike last week that my week isn't complete until a couple of white boys or white folks call me a racist or a race baiter. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens when you, as a black person in America, if you acknowledge race and you call it for what it is, then you're trying to bait somebody. You're trying to race bait. You know, and this conversation was one that it was stupid. You know, it got real stupid early, and most of them usually do. But Jemele Hill called some of y'all's president a racist. And like, okay, I made this comment the other day. I can't hang out with gang members all the time and then say I'm not a banger. You know what I mean? I may not be. But the people who make these conclusions will call me gang affiliated. What's the difference? You know what I mean? Like when somebody from the other hood come through blasting, like I'm gonna catch it too. So like let's not get all over ourselves with the semantics of it all. You know what I mean? Donald Trump ain't wearing a hood or the khaki. Well, actually, he does wear the khakis and the red hat. That's like the supremacist uniform now, right? That's what they said they want to change it to. They want to change it away from looking all scruffy and skinheady and rednecky. They want to become make their look more mainstream. So yeah, he's kind of up in there when he starts pardoning the sheriff, and like she gave the example. He surrounds himself with all these white nationalist people, and then you're gonna say you not one? Bet that up, man. But as far as she goes in the arena that she works in, right? It's a very, very tricky space where everything's all good until it ain't. You know what I'm saying? They put these two cats on the 6 o'clock Sports Center, her and Michael Smith, and from the looks of it, outside looking in, looks like they've given them a good amount of leeway, right? But that leeway only exists until the wrong people get offended. You know what I mean? Like people looked at me crazy when I was like, the Don Imus thing didn't bother me. When he called those girls from Rutgers nappy head hoes, I was like, that didn't, like, if anything, it was a women's rights issue, because like he's calling these girls hoes. But for one, the connotation that nappy hair is a negative, you know, they should have probably taken more offense to that. And also, that's his job. that provocativeness, that provocative nature that he comes with, that's what they paid him for. ABC or whoever he was working for paid him for, until, right? It was all good until it wasn't. People started saying apologize, and then sponsors started getting freaked out. And I believe that's the thing that really hit. That was the thing that got missed in this whole ESPN thing. You know what I mean? Like, as black people, a lot of times, not just black people in general, right? You guys choose to believe the things that make you feel good. So you hear this story that was reported, good God, reported by one person from an anonymous source, that ESPN tried to kick Jemele Hill off the show, and Michael Smith stood up for her and was like, no, if she doesn't work, I don't work. And then the homie L. Duncan and Michael Eaves was like, don't call us. We're not doing it. We're not selling out. We're not selling Jemele out. And that sounded all good and fine. But I'm going to tell you what I know. You know, it don't work like that. You know, all these people are under contract. You know what I'm saying? So it's not no upheaval and no revolt going on. But it sounded good. You know, ESPN was probably just playing the waiting game. ESPN, ABC, and these people were playing their waiting game. Let's see how this plays with our sponsors. This is why people like Kurt Schilling were mad, and people who defend Kurt Schilling being fired for saying some of the things that he said. This other chick, Britt McHenry, who said she was fired partially because of her conservative views, which, whatever, no one even cares about her. But there's a waiting game to be played. Let's see how this affects the bottom line first before we react. And my assumption is that it didn't affect it at all, because for all the people who heard this dude say that they were good people marching with those white supremacists in Charlottesville, whether you're with Coke or Pepsi or Domino's or whoever sponsors their show, couldn't hear him say that and be like, Jemele Hill's wrong for calling him what he's basically admitted to being anyway. You know what I mean? Like me and my man Calloway, my former co-host Rob Calloway, we talked about this show from the beginning. I'm not a big fan of the show itself. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of you guys are now, because that's the thing to do, right? When it's time to jump behind a black face. I love this show. I could take it or leave it. I watch it right before my show goes on to see if they give me anything that I may have missed during the day with my reading. But there's something about the show that it just didn't really vibe with me, you know, totally. And I can't put my finger on what it is, but it I don't know. I think about it sometimes, and I can never just, you know, come to a conclusion on what it is that I just don't, that the show just didn't really, I don't know, vibe with me. I guess it's the word I'm gonna keep going back to. But me and Calloway talked about it, man, kind of being this ticking time bomb, man. Like, they put these two black folks on this show and say, B is, you know, you can wear your Jordans and your Chuck Taylors, and Shawty got her braids popping, and my man's making all these black movie references, and like I think that part is funny, only because I always wonder how many of the white people who would normally tune into the 6 o'clock Sports Center even get half the things that are being said. Not really half, but you get what I'm saying. And then I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a break here in a second, because I want to talk about her. I want to talk about Jemele Hill, man, and something that, because I've followed her career somewhat. She used to write for the Orlando Sentinel. She's like an actual journalist, you know what I mean? And the ESPN thing kind of just, you know, got us some good, you know, role with the sports reporters, which, by the way, I guess the sports reporters is coming back online. So be on the lookout for that. People who want, you know, intellectual sports and not all the debate, embracing of debate and yelling at each other and all that foolishness. But I've kind of, not closely, but followed her career and where it's kind of, the path is kind of taken. And something that she said yesterday leads me into the broader topic that I want to discuss during the show, like the sensitivity surrounding sports and where it was at one point and where it's gotten to and where it's probably going, man. So coming back on the other side of the break, I'm going to take you guys back in time, do On This Day, and then we'll continue this conversation. I got to get my thoughts out on this Jemele Hill situation. I know it's probably old to y'all now, but I missed it. and I want to talk about it. And it's my show. It's called the One Mic with Big Mike Show. Here, live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Spreaker.com, the Spreaker app. Tune in, and One Mic with BigMike.com. Also, check out the Facebook live stream going on right now on Facebook at the number one MICWITHBIGMIKE.
I have one question for you.
Do you or someone you know run a business that could benefit from additional exposure? The One Mic with Big Mike show is currently taking on new sponsors and advertisers. One Mic with Big Mike is currently syndicated across 8 different online platforms, and your company's name could be heard and seen across all 8 as well.
Let's get to work.
Please send all inquiries to Mike at onemicwithbigmike.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your continued support.
All I need is one mic.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
And now, back to One Mic
What are we waiting for? Let's get to it.
with Big Mike.
Woo! I'm gonna make me lose my mind. Yeah, welcome back to the One Mic with Big Mike show here. Spreaker.com is where I'm at. I'm also on the Spreaker app. Tune in, as well as on the OneMicWithBigMike.com website. Don't forget, if you don't get a chance to stick around for the entire show, or if you want to hear any of my previous shows / interviews, you can get them all on demand on Spreaker.com, the app. Tune in, OneMicWithBigMike.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music, YouTube, and of course, all the live streams. The video streams are up on the Facebook page at One Mic with Big Mike on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So make sure you follow and like the page. If you want to get in on the conversation I'm having right now, 404-902-8104 is where you can text your comments, questions, and whatever. You can also leave them below my live streaming video on the Facebook page or jump on inside my live interactive chat room. To do so, all you got to do is be listening via Spreaker or on my website, OneMicWithBigMike.com. You'll see a little thought bubble icon. Just click on that thought bubble icon. It'll get you up inside the live interactive chat room. Also, make sure you sign up for your free, absolutely 100% free Spreaker accounts. And then follow my show on Spreaker. That way, when the show goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7, you guys get an alert letting you know it's time to rock and roll. You can share me with all your friends. Have your friends join you in the chat room. We can have a nice little party up in here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, it's that time of the show. Bottom of the hour. My guest, Matt Lutovsky, is going to be joining me at the top of the next hour. So make sure if you guys got any fantasy football questions, jump on inside my chat room. I'll get Matt to answer them for you. He'll help you set your lineups and win your championships. You can also text your questions to 404-902-8104. Now let's take a look back.
Now, let's take a look back.
On this day.
All right. Your hump day edition of On This Day finally back in the saddle, back in the building, back on the block. On this day in 1927, Babe Herbert Ruth, he hit his 60th home run of the season. He beat his own record of 59 that he set in 1921. Y'all see all these damn home runs they hitting? They set a record for home runs in the season, Major League Baseball. And everybody's talking about the balls are juice. People are hitting the ball with a different angle, and the pitchers are throwing so hard. Yeah, no one dares say, but drugs, roids, PEDs. No one. Hey man, the criminals are always ahead of the system, man. You know what I mean? Barry Bonds never failed a test. Roger Clemens never failed a test. Mark McGwire never failed a test. Nor Sammy Sosa. The list goes on and on. You know what I mean? A-Rod never failed a test. But we know the deal. On this day in 1955, Ernie Banks of the Chicago Cubs, he set a major league record with his 5th Grand Slam of the year. On this day in 1968, Denny McClain of the Detroit Tigers became the first player to achieve 31 wins in 37 years. That'll never happen again. With all the specialty stuff and, you know, short relievers and closers and nah, hell no. Dudes ain't getting no 31 wins. They might even get 31 starts. I don't know if that's true. On this day in 1973, the starts part, Willie Mays announced that he would retire at the end of that season. On this day, again in 1973, in an exhibition tennis match, Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in 3 straight sets. The event is viewed as a milestone in women's sports. They're doing a movie about this. Steve Carell, an old girl from The Help, whatever her name is, Emma Stone. Yeah, they're doing a movie about this. On this day in 1986, Tony Gwynn stole 5 bases in one game against Houston. You don't really think about Tony Gwynn, man. The late Tony Gwynn is a base stealer, man. You know, Tony Gwynn got pudgy, man, later on, but he can still hit that ball. He can still put that joint in play. On this day in 1987, Sweetness, Walter Payton scored his 107th touchdown to break the NFL record held previously, by Jim Brown. On this day in 1988, finally, Cal Ripken Jr. ended his record streak, his Iron Man streak, of playing in 2,632 games. He had played in every game since May 30th, 1982. God dang! And that is your Hump Day edition of On This Day. Getting back to the conversation we were having here, I was having here, about Jemele Hill. Again, I know it's probably old, or you think it's old, but I didn't get a chance to give my 2 cents on it. And, you know, again, I had to go back and do the reading on it, not having internet last week, and I can't stand reading on my phone. I'm already halfway blind, so it's like very discouraging to have to read like long form things off of my phone. So I had to wait until everything got back up to kind of dive into this situation. And there's just some things, man, that really hit me in a certain way about all of this. You know, one, the fact that folks in the White House is worrying about that. You know what I'm saying? It's like stuff is really happening. People in Houston ain't got no homes and jobs, and all these things is bad in Florida. Excuse me, the Virgin Islands is all crushed to oblivion. And they worry about what a sportscaster saying about a dumbass president. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, don't, like, at the very end of the day, for all the people who want, like, oh, what's the chick's name? Sarah Huckabee? Fire Jemele Hill. Tell your boss not to do racist things. How about that? You know what I'm saying? How about you tell him, or somebody should have told him at the very beginning, when you decide you're going to run for president, how about just not criminalize Muslims and Mexicans or Hispanics off the rip, calling all of them rapists and all this kind of crazy foolishness. How about we just don't do that? How about you don't be a homophobe or a transphobe as blatantly as you are, and then get mad when somebody call you on it. Yeah, man, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, it ain't a dog. So here's what I wanted to say before I took the break. And I think about her in particular in that show, you know what I mean? Coming from where she's come from, you know, she, like I said before, she was typically she was a writer, you know what I mean? She wrote for the Orlando Sentinel, and she kind of moved up the ranks up into ESPN, was doing a lot more, you know, around the horn stuff, the sports reporter stuff. Her and Mike Smith got, you know, got the podcast popping with the His and Hers situation, and they just kind of parlayed that into the Sports Center situation. Now, and I probably skipped a couple of things before. I know she did some producing or whatnot. She did this thing about this football team in Alabama that I really like. I'm not the biggest, the biggest fan of hers, her takes, if you want to call them that. But I mean, she's cool, and I think about who she is, and because of who she is, you also have to think about what she represents. You know what I mean? She's black, obviously. And then also she's a woman. And then she's in this hyper macho, you know, male dominated arena. Not only is she a woman, she's a woman she's very Detroit. You know what I mean? like, and unapologetically Detroit. You know what I mean? So she's got a hood element to her. This is not Carrie Champion that we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? She looks that way. She's not the beauty queen. You know, she's not an ugly chick, but she's not, you know, the Carrie Champion 6 foot long legs, and like she looked like the chick that you would go to the sports bar with and just like, you know, get into it about sports with. That being said, it serves that people, and by people I say a lot of white people, white males, wouldn't know how to take her. Because some of the stuff that she gets hit with via social media and these type of things, she gets hit with them based on those things, you know, because somebody can't look at her and be like, oh man, she's so damn fine. I'm sure people do, you know what I'm saying? But again, not in the way to compare her to like a Carrie Champion. You know, you can see the obvious difference that I'm making here. And some of the things that she has to endure, I'm going to assume dictates the way she's able to react to certain things, because she can't be overly black on this show, because then she looks like the bitter black woman. She can't be overly feminine, like when something comes up like with Ezekiel Elliott and the sexual assault thing. She can't go extra hard on that either, because then she becomes like, you know, a whiny woman, you know, always taking a woman's side. So she's in a very, very kind of precarious situation, especially with the format of that show. Again, the format of her show isn't the same format that Elle Duncan deals with doing her Sports Center. They typically do reporting. Her, Carrie Champion, they report stories. There's a much more of an opinion based element to the thing that her and Michael Smith do at 6 o'clock, which leads itself to what, again, me and my man Rob Calloway was talking about when the show first kicked off. It felt like a ticking time bomb, man. Like eventually one of those two people are going to say something that's going to ruffle the wrong feathers. Like my man Mike Smith has already been suspended like 2 or 3 times for cussing on the air, like getting so involved in a topic, they just let a cuss word out. You know what I mean? You know, because that's how people talk when they get impassioned about certain things. So it was bound to happen with her, probably on Twitter more so than anywhere else, because that's where she kind of, if you guys follow her on Twitter, you know she kind of is the person that kind of just lets it fly. You know what I'm saying? And the one thing that she talked about, as I lead into like the overall topic of the show about sensitivity, she talked about how sometimes the frustration of the things that I'm talking about come out in her tweets. And at some point, I even heard her on TV today talking about holding grudges towards people. And like, I'm a big time grudge holder. But when it comes to the social media stuff, I find it very hard, man, to take it seriously. And maybe that's to my detriment, but it's so hard, man, for me to take people serious on social media. For me to take myself, I already don't take myself that seriously anyway, but just understanding that I'm some anonymous person to some other anonymous person that I may never, probably ever in life cross actual paths with, I'm almost forbidding myself from taking things that seriously. But she talks about how so much of the frustration that she with people that she feels with people, you know, people like to call her out her name. Like, that's the thing I don't get. You know what I mean? It's like disagreeing with somebody on a point, a sports argument, is one thing, but to feel like someone isn't credible because of their race or their gender or their background, that's kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so many times that kind of vitriol just comes out towards these women who find themselves choosing to talk sports for a living. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not the biggest. I'm not gonna be I'm not somebody that'll go to bat for anybody just because. Like, Jemele Hill is a black woman. So what? You know, so is Carrie Champion. Like, I know Elle Duncan. You know what I'm saying? I've worked with her before here in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And like, if she says something stupid, I think it's stupid. It's just something stupid. or something I disagree with or whatever. Like, I don't feel beholden to anyone based on cultural similarities or any of those type of things. The same way I don't feel I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I don't feel like I should be able, like, I don't feel that it's right that I just be like, oh man, there's this woman calling a football game. I don't want to hear this crap. I love Doris Burke, man. Doris Burke is so damn official on them basketball calls. Like, when they moved her off the desk and put her, like, just doing sideline stuff, I was like, whatever, man, they wasting. Like, and then when they had her in the studio replacing, like, Sage Steele, like, nah, man. Like, I like to hear people, I don't care what you are. You know what I mean? You could be an alien. If you know what you're talking about, let's ride. Because, like, a couple years ago, there was an issue here in Atlanta. One of the hosts at my former job, was like, what does this chick know about? He got suspended for this, too, which I thought was crazy and stupid. But, again, same type of deal. You know, everybody's thing now is like, I can't be offended. I'm offended by this. I'm offended by that. And it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of jumped the shark, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's so damn sensitive about everything. No one ever wants to hear the truth. And in 2017, it feels like the worst thing you can do is offend somebody. That was offensive. So what? Get over it. Put your big boy or your big girl pants on and get over it. And you know what's happening? And I'm about to sound like an old dude saying this, but it's real. And I guess this is what society is, though. Young people get to a point in most societies where most societies get to a point where young people start making the rules or start setting the standards. Because it's not just young people, but people who previous to, like, this era wouldn't care about a lot of things. Like you think I'm 40 years old. You think somebody like me would have come up with a term like fat shaming or slut shaming, blank shaming? No. Like, your shame is based on you. You know what I mean? Like, if you fat and you ashamed, do something about it. But if you fat and you not ashamed, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. Be fat and happy. There's plenty of fat, happy people. You know what I'm saying? If you black, whatever, or you a slut, which is really, like, I still don't get that terminology at all. I thought one of the benefits of being a slut is that you not shamed. You don't have no shame. You know what I mean? You bang who you want to bang. You slut it up. It just bears to reason that that's a thing. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. We're about 13 minutes away from my man Matt Lutovsky. You can get your fantasy football questions in for Matt by texting them to 404-902-8104. If you're looking at the Facebook live stream, you see the number at the bottom of my face or the bottom of my microphone here. At One Mic with Big Mike on Facebook is where you can catch the live Facebook stream. You can also jump inside my live interactive chat room here on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, or download that Spreaker app for your mobile devices. You can jump on in my live interactive chat room by clicking the little thought bubble icon you see on the streaming player and get your questions in, your fantasy football questions in. We're trying to help you set those lineups. We got Rams 49ers. Goody. Rams 49ers tomorrow on Thursday Night Football, so you want to get those lineups set if you got any 49ers or got the possibility of starting any 49ers or I got Todd Gurley on my team, so yeah, I need to holler at my man, see what's real. So he'll be joining me top of the hour, about 10 minutes away from now. But right now, we're talking about sensitivity, man. All this sensitivity going on in sports. Just recently here, Eddie Lacy, Fat Eddie is what I call him. Not Fast Eddie, Fat Eddie. He opened up to, what was it, Sporting, who did Eddie Lacy open up to? There it is. I think it was Sports Illustrated, ESPN's Kevin Valkenburg. And we know about Eddie Lacy's, I don't know if we want to call them eating issues. I guess he describes them as eating issues or weight issues or whatever. But he was already, like, he's genetically predisposed. If you ever seen his dad and his mom, Like they're chunky people. They're fat people. You know what I'm saying? So he's genetically predisposed. Like the minute Eddie Lacy stops playing football, he's gonna be 300 something pounds. No doubt about it. I mean, probably 350. No doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he talks about being bombarded with insults every time he opens up an app on his phone. Not any app, dude. You know what I mean? He says, quote, "You just can't shake it. And no matter what, you can't say nothing back to them. You just have to read it, get mad, or however it makes you feel, and move on. I could be 225 and they still be like, you're a fat piece of S." See? See, that's what I get for laughing at this. But look, here's the thing, dude. This whole notion that you have to read it, you don't. You kind of don't, dude. You know what I mean? It sounds like somebody's being a glutton for punishment. You don't have to. And then when you do read it, you don't have to put any stock in it. Like, what part of the game am I missing, man? That this has become a thing where someone says something about you. Some random person, too. Somebody who could care less about you in the grand scheme of things. And it affects you that way? He says, quote, "I could pull my Twitter out right now. There will be a fat comment in there somewhere. Like I could tweet, 'Today is a beautiful day,' and somebody be like, 'Oh yeah, you fat.'" See, that's ridiculous that's a thing, dude. Like, my man, the person that's saying this to you, your life is probably, not even probably, man, your life is exponentially better than that person, man. And this is a person that you'll give that much credence to. I can't blame them. Like, I the same way I don't blame a dog for barking. I don't blame stupid people, stupid, jealous-hearted people for doing stupid, jealous-hearted things. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I mess with Eddie. You heard me call him Fat Eddie. He's a fat dude. You know what I'm saying? You fat, be fat. You fat. But you know what's different between you being fat and me being fat is? People pay you $500,000 to not be fat. Your employers have decided they're going to pay you $500,000 not to be fat, or to be less fat, or be fat within a standard that they set for you. Let me say it that way. Yeah, man, I can't mess with you on that, dude. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff going on with Kevin Durant right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like all y'all thought it was like it was the move, man. When my man got his MVP and he was like, "Oh ma, you the real MVP." Until you found out that this became a meme, and then my man was like mad. He was like mad salty about his emotional, touching moment with his mom becoming a meme. It's like, this is the time we live in, B. Like, you can't. This is not something that you're able to avoid, my G. You know what I mean? So apparently, you know, Kevin Durant's a cat who he frequents the social media. He's out there, Silicon Valley, you know, doing his thing. He's got this YouTube channel popping, and he likes to interact with his fans and NBA fans and whatnot. And I guess, from what I gathered, he says some things that may be considered unsavory, but true, in my opinion, about his former teammates and coach. That I think one of the comments was that it was just him and Russ, and he didn't want to play for Billy Donovan no more. Look, man, you guys heard me say this during basketball season. Like, Billy Donovan ended up being Scott Brooks Part 2. You know? Okay, let me draw up the play. Russ, you dribble the ball for 14 seconds, and then when you can't get a shot, give it to KD for the bailout. Nah, man. And then that whole notion that they almost beat the Warriors. I'll say it again, man. Sometimes your best just ain't good enough. And when you got a chance to realize that, and like when you get a chance to do your thing, right? Do what you do, but not have to do it or work as hard at it as you once did. A lot of times that makes you more efficient. Perfect example. Like, if I could do this show and have a setup the way, you know, anybody else would, like have a producer and have like content people and all these things, people who the technical person to push the buttons and all that, this show would be a lot smoother. And it'd probably be, it'll be a little bit better. The host would still be lacking, but the show would be a little bit better as well, because the research would be, there would be more of a dedication to the research and those things. But right now, I'm stretched as thin as I can be because it's just me. So apply that same logic to what was going on in Oklahoma City, where, as opposed to Golden State, where it's not just you and Russ. You know what I'm saying? He's out there. They have an actual system that they run. They got guys who can get buckets on their own at any given time. They got people who are dedicated to playing on the defensive end of the end of the court. All these things make a difference. Like, who chooses that? Like, all these people who like, oh, he a punk. Like, who chooses to do things the hardest way possible if you have a choice? Doing the same thing, not to mention location. Silicon Valley, Oklahoma City. Yeah. You fool yourself into thinking that that's a choice that you would make. So anyway, he came back and apologized for the comments that he made, and like on some different apology too. Not even like the regular one, like, I regret doing this. Like, he kind of he bashed himself. You know what I mean? That was just me being a total blanking idiot, he said. The whole quote goes, quote, "I played a little bit too much, and that blank really hurt me. To know that I affected Coach Billy Donovan and the Thunder, like, I love those people, and I don't never want to hurt them. That was just me being a total blanking idiot. I own up to it. I want to move on from it. It probably hit me harder than what everybody thought. Everybody else was telling me to relax, to snap out of it, but I was really upset with myself more than anything. It's not the fact that the people were talking about me. Oop, lost my place. Because I deserve that. Damn. but I'm just more upset with myself that I let myself go that far. You know, I was, you know what I was saying. It was a joke to me at first. I was doing it all summer, and it went too deep. I went too hard. I haven't slept in 2 days, 2 nights. I haven't ate. It's crazy because I feel so expletive pissed at myself, and I'm mad I brought someone into it. Look, dude, it's gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is really on some like next level stuff when it comes to all this cupcake stuff, and he shouldn't have left. There's reports, he's in an article saying that as soon as he made the decision, he asked his agent, "How could you let me do this to my life?" It's like, my man, the what if game is a terrible, terrible game to play. It's the one that'll have your ass going crazy, man. And I think the one thing that Kevin Durant probably is realizing is that he had his mind on the destination, which was that championship, getting that MVP trophy and all that kind of stuff, and not really, maybe not taking time to appreciate the journey. Or maybe there wasn't a lot of appreciation to be had with the journey, because he went to this team that was already preordained. It was either that championship or bust. You know what I mean? There was no room for anybody saying, "Oh, so and so was injured and this didn't happen," blah blah blah. Nah, none of that. Oops, sorry. It was all about the destination and not the journey. And then looking back at everything that had transpired in Oklahoma City, I don't know if you guys even remember this, when they got hit big with that tornado, man, like, he was one of the first people, not just to put money in. I saw this dude down there helping people out, man, at their cribs and taking stuff down there, putting his arms around people in Oklahoma City. I could see where, you know, it would have been an emotional thing for him to make that decision, you know, to move on again, because a lot of people are going to keep on saying, "You were that close, you were that close." But if you're him, why risk it? The standard has been set. And the same people who criticize him for moving and making the move, you guys are the ones who set the standard. You idiot fans who want to put everything on guys winning championships. Like, a guy can't be great and not have a championship. So when these guys pick up that mantle and say, "Okay, fine, I'm going to make sure I put myself in the prime position to do just that, win championships," Take a break. Come back. My man Matt Lutovsky, Sporting News fantasy football expert, will be with me. We can still get your questions in. 404-902-8104 is where you want to text them. 404-902-8104. You can also leave them as comments below the live streaming video here on Facebook. And also jump inside my live interactive chat room on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, or the Spreaker app. I'll be right back.
I have one question for you.
Do you or someone you know run a business that could benefit from additional exposure? The One Mic with Big Mike show is currently taking on new sponsors and advertisers. One Mic with Big Mike is currently syndicated across 8 different online platforms, and your company's name could be heard and seen across all 8 as well.
Let's get to work.
Please send all inquiries to Mike at onemicwithbigmike.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your continued support.
All I need is one mic.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
One Mic.
All I need is one mic.
It's just different.
One Mic with Big Mike.
The overall tenor of what he's saying is very stupid.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
Maybe it's not racism. Maybe it's placism.
Brother has to know his place, right, Bob?
One Mic with Big Mike.
Things aren't always what they seem.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limit.
Don't just tell me that the reason something's being done is because that's the way it's always been done. Because the first thing I'm going to say to you is slavery.
And now, your host,
I got the big homie here who needs no introduction.
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
It is Hump Day. As we get on over this hump today on the One Mic with Big Mike show, heard live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Spreaker.com. Spreaker also has an app for your mobile devices, as well as on TuneIn and the One Mic with BigMike.com website. Make sure if you don't get a chance to stick around for the entire show, you check it out on demand on all 4 of those platforms, as well as on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and YouTube. And also the Facebook live stream is popping right now. Go to my Facebook page if you're one of those watchers. I'm at the number 1 MICWITHBIGMIKE. It's that time in the show. Wednesday. It's the day we get you guys ready to win some fantasy football championships. Don't forget, you can still get your lineup questions in at 404-902-8104. For the first time this season, we're going to welcome in the big dog from the Sporting News. His name is Matt Lutovsky.
It's time to talk fantasy football.
Let's have some fun. Let's go.
It's time to get those lineups set.
Enzo caught. Touchdown. Yeah. Yes, sir.
With Matt Lutovsky of Sporting News.
Put him on the board. Championship.
On One Mic with Big Mike.
Matt, what up, big dog?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain, man. Not at all. Got my internet and all that stuff straightened out. Spent like a week and a half without it, so that was my personal hell.
I couldn't imagine, man. The fantasy football industry would crumble to its knees without the internet.
Oh my God,
it's a necessary thing.
I was about to jump out the window. Okay, let's get things started, man. I'm 1-1 in my fantasy league so far. I got what's the kid's name? Kareem Hunt. I got Kareem Hunted in my first week. Wasn't pretty, but I bounced back last week with a pretty impressive victory. Michael Crabtree did his thing. Todd Gurley did his thing as well. So I was happy about that situation. Let's start off with your waiver wire pickups. Give me some top waiver wire pickups for this week in fantasy football going into week 3 here.
Well, I think, every week you're always going to be looking at the running backs and you're going to say who got injured. Let me get that back up. Samaje Perine, I think, is the guy this week from the Redskins with Rob Kelly. Injuring his ribs. It's not as bad as they originally thought.
Right.
So that's good for Kelly, bad for Pirine, but Pirine could still be starting this week. It's a Sunday night game, though, so that kind of makes things tough. But I think the other guy, the big one this week, is Chris Carson, the Seahawks running back who had 20 carries, even though Thomas Rawls was back. That situation's still a mess. No one really knows what's going to happen from week to week. But he looked good. I mean, 93 rushing yards, added a couple receiving. And Pete Carroll keeps talking him up. And, if the coach likes you, then that's what's most important. So those are the big guys. You got some receivers. Rashard Higgins from the Browns sort of stepped up with Corey Coleman getting hurt. J.J. Nelson for the Cardinals, he scored 2 straight weeks. You got some guys like that. And then there's a whole mess of tight ends because it felt like every tight end in the league got hurt. So people are going to be looking for new tight ends, even though, no one's really doing that much. Maybe Evan Ingram, someone like that, but he's in the concussion protocol now. So tight end's really a mess.
Don't I want to kind of stay, like you mentioned the kid from Seattle, but don't I want to kind of stay away from them and the Saints and the Patriots, their running games, even like with the Eagles, man, because I got LeGarrette Blount on my team, but I'm not really confident in that whole situation. I got him because I felt like he would be one of those touchdown vulture guys, but those situations just seem so muddled and convoluted. Aren't those situations that if you can afford to kind of just stay away from those altogether?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you could add the Bengals to that list.
Oh, yeah.
You probably add the Bears to that list now with Tariq Cohen playing well and Jordan Howard kind of banged up. And I think the Giants is just a complete stay-away situation. You mentioned the Saints. That's another one that's just – that one really, I think, has to bug fantasy owners because Mark Ingram's good. Like, I don't know why they're forcing the ball to Adrian Peterson and taking the ball out of the hands of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, who could be a really good receiving back, but they are. So it's just a mess for now. I think that, the Cardinals now after the David Johnson injury is a mess. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, we're talking almost double digits of these situations that are really bad this year. And, some of them will sort themselves out. They always do. But right now it's just a nightmare if you're trying to set your lineups, and it's about to start getting worse because buys are about to start kicking in.
Absolutely. The other voice that you're hearing is Sporting News fantasy football expert. His name is Matt Lutovsky. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at @MLutovsky. Hey, Matt, you guys still doing the Facebook Live thing on Saturday, or was it Sunday?
No, I mean, we're not doing Facebook Live this year, but we're still doing obviously Twitter. If people got questions, they can just come to the SN_fantasy Twitter handle and fire away questions and things like that. So we're always around. I mean, it's just we find a way to get answer your questions. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely. You can also make sure you text your questions during this show to 404-902-8104. We'll get to those before I let Matt go for this segment. Give me some guys that if you got them, you got to start them this week. They got the matches are just too juicy that you can't leave them on the bench for no reason.
No, well, I mean, I think, it's a lot of the usual suspects, obviously, the top guys, and anytime week 3 is always that weird week because a lot of times we've seen one good week from someone and one bad week, and then if it's a good guy who's had 2 bad weeks, people are really nervous about him or things like that. So obviously the top guys, Julio and Antonio Brown and Zeke. I mean, Zeke's coming off the really bad week, but don't worry about it. Start all those guys. But I think there's other guys, like the 2 running backs in tomorrow night's game, for instance, like Hyde and Gurley. I think both look fantastic in those matchups. I think a guy maybe a little more under the radar type guy is like Amir Abdullah, for instance. The Lions seem committed to running the ball more. He had 17 carries last week. The Falcons really are not good against running backs, and they're really bad covering running backs as receivers out of the backfield. They were the worst in the league at that last year. They've gotten roasted twice already this year by Tariq Cohen and Ty Montgomery. So I think both Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick can have value in that game, which should be a really good game. And I think the receivers in the Oakland-Washington matchup, I think we're going to see a lot of guys get back on track, like Jamison Crowder and Terrell Pryor will finally start doing stuff. And certainly the Oakland receivers, Amari Cooper's a guy everyone's upset with, after Crabtree got all those touchdowns last week. But he'll be just
not
fine.
This guy.
So, yeah, exactly, right? And so that's going to go back and forth all year between those two. We saw in week 1, Cooper got all the goal line targets, and last week it was Crabtree. So that's just how it's going to be. But there's definitely some guys like that. Anytime anyone's playing the Saints, you start them. So we're going to get a host of Panthers this week who should be started.
Even Christian McCaffrey? He's on my team. Even Christian McCaffrey gets a look?
I think so. I think all those guys. I think Benjamin and Cam and Jonathan Stewart and McCaffrey, and maybe even if you're really bold, you can start having fun just getting some of those Greg Olsen targets. But I think McCaffrey, the thing with him, he obviously hasn't been good, and they've had good matchups, so that is a worry. But the bottom line is he's still getting the touches.
Yeah, he is.
And, that's worth something in fantasy. And eventually he's going to break through, and against the Saints, it feels like that's the perfect time.
Who are some guys that you're staring people away from due to matchup issues? Who are some players that you're definitely saying, if you got a better option, go with the better option?
Well, I think there's some interesting receivers in that regard. I talked up some guys, but I know we do busts every week where we have a couple guys from the Sporting News staff, and they sort of put their busts in. And our main NFL writer, Vinny Iyer, he doesn't like Alshon Jeffrey this week. I don't know if I'd sit him, but, Janoris Jenkins is getting that reputation now as a shutdown corner. And we saw Jeffrey kind of get bottled up in week 1 by Josh Norman. So he's an interesting one. I think Shady McCoy is an interesting one. He couldn't get anything going really against the Panthers last week, and this week you see him with the Broncos, who just shut down Zeke. So there's some of those really good guys who maybe you're looking at and pretty nervous about. It really just depends on who you've already picked up and how things are shaking out for your team, because at this point we can sort of throw what we thought in the preseason out. We know guys like Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Brown, they're fine, but even guys who were maybe ranked 15th, 16th among wide receivers or something going into the year, everyone's in the same pile at this point. You're looking at matchups and you're looking at health, and you're trying to figure out who should be in your lineup. Any
surprises? Any either pleasantly or not so pleasantly through week 2? Any people who you said who you thought may not have been set to perform as well as they have performed, or guys who are performing way down based on how you anticipated them performing?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of disappointment so far, and especially at wide receiver, and that just sort of comes with the territory. I mentioned those Redskins guys. People were really high on them, and then obviously their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, been a disappointment. Cam's been a big disappointment. I think almost everyone on the Panthers, with maybe the exception of Jonathan Stewart, has been a disappointment. There's some things like that, obviously injuries to affect things. I think though some of the surprise, Kareem Hunt was a guy that a lot of people had targeted, but I don't think anyone expected this.
Right.
He's been fantastic. I think Todd Gurley maybe has been better than expected. He's still not running the ball that well, but what he's doing as a receiver really raises his floor each week.
And getting into the end zone too.
Yeah, and that's so important. I think, though, another situation, like you look at Lamar Miller, he's been a disappointment, but that's kind of Lamar Miller. That's what he does. And then I think this week, actually, he'll have a good week against the Patriots. And, tight ends just, again, has been a mess of a position, and now everyone's hurt. And you got guys like, Kobe Fleener scoring in the first 2 weeks and sort of some random things happening at that position. So, it's just tough. These first 2 weeks are always sort of a crapshoot, but things have a tendency to just sort of work themselves out. Everyone either regresses or improves to the mean, and we'll find out who's for real here in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. He's Sporting News fantasy football expert. Joins me each and every Wednesday here on the One Mike with Big Mike show. He's Matt Lutovsky. Follow him on Twitter at @MLutovsky. What's that other handle that you just gave a little bit earlier, Matt?
Oh, at SN_fantasy for Sporting News Fantasy.
Okay.
Yep.
Injuries now. We got to talk injuries because there's some guys who are a little bit banged up. You mentioned a couple of them. Rob Kelly, Jordan Reed, Greg Olsen on IR now. Jordy Nelson's dealing with some stuff. Gronk, again, with the groin. How are some of these injuries going to affect other people? Like you talk about Gronk. How's that going to affect Tom Brady going into week 3? Or Jordy Nelson going to affect Aaron Rodgers, and Greg Olsen affect Cam Newton, who's already been struggling, coming off not getting a lot of work during the preseason. They're saying that he's building back up to where he needs to be during the regular season, but still yet, for fantasy owners, he struggled. Kirk Cousins has been struggling as well. Now he's missing part of his running game, one of the better tight ends in the league. How are some of these injuries going to affect other fantasy players?
Yeah, I think you always look at the backups, right? And with the Packers, he might be missing Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. So Devontae Adams, obviously good news for him. You'd like to think good news for Martellus Bennett, Ty Montgomery. I don't think it affects Rodgers that much, but it certainly can't help. It's the same with Brady with his guys hurt. It can't help, even losing Julian Edelman at the start of the year, it seems to have affected him. Danny Amendola then got hurt. Chris Hogan's banged up. So, yeah, it it's always tough to try to assess those situations, and you kind of just look for, well, who might just step in and get more targets, like with the Packers and Geronimo Allison if those guys are out. I don't know. Sometimes it's more direct with running backs where you just see this guy's hurt. Here's the backup. He's the starter. But, as we saw with the Cardinals and David Johnson, it was Kerwin Williams for a week, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's Chris Johnson again.
Mm-hmm.
So those things change in a hurry, too. And all you can do is hope for good health. And every week on Wednesday, it feels like no one practices anymore on Wednesday, and everyone gets worried. And then ultimately most of these guys play. But I do think, as we get deeper into the season, we're going to see more and more guys sitting out. And I think this week I probably would be surprised if Rob Kelly plays. I'd be surprised if Jimmy Graham plays. I'd be surprised if Jordan Reed plays. Gronk practiced, that's a good sign. Jordy Nelson practiced, that's a good sign for some of these guys. But, it's like Sam Bradford. No one really saw that coming at all until Saturday, and all of a sudden he didn't play, and it really took down Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and Kyle Rudolph and some guys like that. So
right.
That's the biggest worry, is if a quarterback's hurt, as we're seeing with Indianapolis right now. Without their quarterback, and T.Y. Hilton is basically useless. So as long as the quarterback stays healthy, then you just kind of focus on backups. But once the quarterback goes, then it just almost kills the entire team.
Talk to me about this kid, Orleans Darkwa. I know I picked him up last year, I believe, for a spell because his name came up, and it's coming up again now with that anemic Giants offense and whatever Ben McAdoo and those cats are doing up there. But they're looking for something to spark their running game, and I'm hearing this name, Orleans Darkwa. What's your read on him?
Yeah, I don't know if it much matters who they have back there with how bad that offensive line has been.
Right.
But, yeah, look, Paul Perkins just isn't getting it done. He never got it done last year. There's nothing about him we're just right down to his name. He's just boring, run-of-the-mill running back. So, yeah, I think they'll probably start trying to try out some new guys, give some guys more touches. Darkwa is okay, but he hasn't really done much and hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities, so I'm not going to anoint him as a guy that you need to go pick up. If I had to bet money, I would guess at some point this year there'll be another running back we're not even talking about. I don't know, is Wayne Goldman still on their roster? I don't even know. It'll be someone like that, So that's just a mess of a situation. It was pretty much worthless last year too, and I would expect it to continue to be.
Trade bait. Let's talk trade bait because as the season goes on, I feel like it gets harder to trade guys or trade people because, you get more information on them, you get to see what they are and what they're not. Are there any guys going into week 3 where you can see possibly, maybe you bought low on them, you can sell them high, or what is it? What do I mean to say? Buy low, sell high?
Buy low, sell high.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that.
Obviously it's so tough to sell high because you take someone like Kareem Hunt. Obviously he's not going to continue at this pace. But at the same time, if you own Kareem Hunt, you don't want to trade him.
Right.
He looks to be like a very good running back. So, why trade him? Something like that. I would, if there's a guy like that, I would look to trade maybe someone like who's maybe has taken advantage of garbage time to inflate their numbers. Like Coby Fleener scored a touchdown in each game. Both of them have come in garbage time. I don't really think he's a reliable tight end, but again, tight end's so thin, maybe he is one of the top 10 and you can't afford to trade him. So there's some weird situations like that. Marvin Jones, similar thing. He has 3 catches on the year, 2 of them have been touchdowns. And he's not really reliable, but I don't know how much you're going to get in a trade for a guy like that anyway. So it's more about the buying low and seeing what you can scoop up with some of these guys who have just really kind of fallen flat. I think like Doug Baldwin might be one of those guys. I mentioned the Redskins receivers. I still really believe in them and think they're going to be just fine. You look around the league, A.J. Green, obviously, slow start. I think he's going to be just fine. Maybe even some of their running backs. I think Joe Mixon. I thought Joe Mixon was getting overdrafted because people were just handing him that starting job and thinking he was going to run with it.
Yeah, that was weird.
But I do think at this point, though, his value's so low, you might be able to get a good deal on him, and I wouldn't mind investing in him at this point. So there's some situations like that I think are worth looking into, and maybe you can get a gem for cheap.
Wrapping up here with fantasy football expert Matt Lutovsky from the Sporting News. He's at M. Lutovsky, spelled M-L-U-T-O-V-S-K-Y on Twitter, so make sure you guys hook him up with the follows and all that kind of good stuff. All right, let's move on to the to people's matchup issues here. I've got either Devontae Parker at the Jets or Kelvin Benjamin at New Orleans? You already mentioned this, I believe, but I'll give you an opportunity to answer because they're both trash teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys are both really good this week. They both have a ton of upside, but I think if you're flipping a coin between two guys, even as bad as the Jets are, I'm taking the guy playing the Saints. And the thing with Parker too, as much as I like him, Travis Landry had 15 targets last week, and he's going to continue to get his share of targets. And I really think this week too could just be a Jay Ajayi 200-yard game because the Jets' run defense is really bad. Even worse than their pass defense. So I think you got to kind of go Benjamin and hope that the Panthers get right this week.
I've got James. I don't know what did I write here. I put Jameis Winston at MIC. That's not correct.
MIN. Yeah, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. Or Phillip Rivers at versus Kansas City. They've got him at home. If you want to call
that's
that
a
home.
real close one. I'm pretty sure they're back to back in our rankings or within two. We have Winston a notch higher, and it really, even though his matchup's probably tougher, I just think he's got a little bit more upside. I think what he can do with his legs too, maybe getting a short touchdown, running the ball, in addition to those big receivers in the red zone, I think gives him that slight edge. But that's a very close one for sure.
This damn hurricane really screwed me with Jameis, man. It really did because, I told you last year, I go one quarterback, man, until the buys hit. I go one quarterback, and then I'll figure it out after then. Well, when the hurricane came through, I had to drop Jameis and then pick up, I forgot, it was Andy Dalton. Oh, it was so horrible. And then somebody scooped him up. The people in my league are like hoarding quarterbacks for whatever stupid reason. So like people have like 3 quarterbacks on their teams and like this is ridiculous. Anyway, my problems. Got Jeremy Maclin at Jacksonville or Dez Bryant at Arizona.
Yeah, I think Dez is going to do well this week. Arizona couldn't cover wide receivers last year. They're not covering them this year. And
even with the Pat Peterson situation, they probably have Pat, those shadowing him, right?
Yeah, but it hasn't seemed to matter. I mean, they just get burned. It seems whoever they play, even though they have a lot of talent in that secondary. Mm-hmm. So whatever the reason, I don't know. But it's just what the numbers say. And I think, Dez and Dak Prescott don't always look to be on the same page, but they did hook up for a touchdown last week, and I think this is a pretty good get-right game for the Cowboys, too, that offense. And, I like Maclin. I think he's solid. I think he's going to get a lot of targets, and he always has upside every week. But Jacksonville has pretty good defense, and they've been pretty good against wide receivers so far this year. And those London games always scare me too. I don't know. I don't like when I have a guy playing at 9:30 in the morning. It just doesn't seem right. And something weird's going to happen in that game. Maybe Macklin's involved in it in a good way, but I'd rather wait for Monday night. Des Bryant.
Got a couple more here for you. Tyler Eifert at Green Bay or Coby Fleener at Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, Eifert's really banged up, so that decision might be made for that person. I don't know if he'll play, but even if he does, I think I might roll the dice on Fleener. I said those garbage time touchdowns aren't reliable, but as bad as the Bengals have looked this year, I think you got to give Eifert at least another week before you can feel comfortable using him.
Here's an interesting one: Terrell Pryor at Oakland or versus Oakland, or Martavis Bryant at Chicago.
Those two are very, very similar. I would take Pryor. I just think he's due to break out. I like the matchup. I think that could be a shootout. The weird thing with Bryant, he's always kind of going to be considered a boomer bust guy no matter the matchup. Mm-hmm. I do like the matchup, but Ben Roethlisberger, it's too much of a trend to ignore. It's 3 straight years of him struggling on the road. I don't know why. Don't know how it works. He started off this year with a great matchup on the road against the Browns. Didn't do anything really. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to it. Normally, I don't really care about home road splits in football unless it involves a dome or cold weather or something. But there might be something to it. I don't know. It's enough to make me take Pryor.
A couple more matchups here with my man Matt Lutovsky from the Sporting News, my fantasy football expert. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter at @mlutovsky. Here's one. I missed out on this in my waiver claims. Derrick Henry versus Seattle or Jarvis Landry as a flex at the New York Jets.
I think that one really comes down to whether or not DeMarco Murray plays. If Murray's out, I'd play Henry. If Murray's in, I would take Landry. I just think he gets too many targets and his floor is too safe to keep him out of the lineup. But, yeah, if Henry's the only game in town this week, I would play him.
And finally, your man, Carson Wentz at the New York Giants, the G-Men, or Russell Wilson at the Tennessee Titans. That's my defense, too. The Titans are my defense.
Yeah, that's a real close one. Obviously, Wentz has been great this year. Russell Wilson has really struggled. This week, I like Wentz a little more. The Giants' defense is solid, especially if they get Janoris Jenkins back, but I like them at home. I think that long road trip for Seattle, when they're already struggling, isn't necessarily going to help them really start putting points on the board.
No doubt. How the class is going, man?
Oh, everything's going good. Everything's going good, keeping busy, This is just such a busy time as it is, so add more to the plate, but everything's good.
No doubt, man, and I always appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot, man. We'll do it again next week, brother.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks.
It's Matt Lutovsky, you guys. I hope you guys got your questions in. If you didn't, you can still text my man or tweet my man at MLUTOVSKY. We still got to come back for the last segment of the show and finish up the conversation on that we were having about, all this sensitivity going on in sports. We were talking about Kevin Durant and some of the things he tweeted out about his former teammates. And some people are asking the question, like, why still be in that space mentally? You know what I mean? Why be there where you still want to kind of address situations that have happened in the past? You moved on. You've accomplished the things that you left to accomplish. But yet there's still this part of you that's back there. And like I mentioned before, I got Matt on the line. Like there is, there's an emotional part of Kevin Durant that's still in Oklahoma City, man. He helped those people rebuild after a terrible, tornadoes rolled through that joint. He spent a good part of his adult life after being drafted by the Seattle Supersonics and then moving to Oklahoma City. So yeah, and then also I want to remind people of this as well. Like those people, they didn't have all that like LeBron type vitriol towards that move when it first happened. I saw it on ESPN when people was like, yeah, we understand, we appreciate what he did for us while he was here, but we understand that Golden State is a different world than what we live in. And then the organization got involved in the whole cupcake thing. Went the way it went. So then he comes back and ain't no tribute video, ain't none of that stuff that thank you for your time here. It turned out to be one of those, oh, you're a traitor type thing. And the organization fed into it. So that now when my man is like, yeah, I didn't want to play for that coach who was going to use me up because that's all he pretty much knew how to do. With a talentless roster, Roberson and Enes Kanter and those cats, like whatever, man. Like sometimes the truth just hurts, and it goes back to my initial, what I was initially talking about. It's like everything that offends you isn't wrong. Sometimes sometimes somebody's just holding a mirror up to you, and it is what it is. And then the thing that usually bothers me in these situations, especially with a guy like Kevin Durant, is that not just the sensitivity part of it, not on his part, but then how somebody like him gets labeled. Like a black man in America, you're not afforded the right to have natural emotion because then you get labeled with the angry black man tag. Well, he's a millionaire. What does he have to be so mad about? Well, I mean, he's still a human being, too. You know what I mean? He has a right to have his feelings hurt. And sometimes, I mean, even I'll say that it seems a little bit thin-skinned. But in the sense of him calling a place home and making a place home for so long and then making a decision that, again, he saw it play out before. Like LeBron set the table for this kind of stuff. So he saw it play out. And knew it wasn't going to be pretty. And in that light, I guess decided he was going to develop a persona of say what I want to, get back at people or I guess retort or offer up retorts to people on social media and act like I don't care about this and that and the other. Fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of the person who says, like, just be who you are, man. Just be, if you hurt, if you got regrets, you know, let it be known. You know what I'm saying? I don't like, and I'm one of those people, I don't see why there would be any regret. I could understand from the aspect of a person who wants everyone to be happy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really vibe with those people that don't understand that scenario doesn't exist normally in life. But I can understand, you know, someone who is who he is and who's been who he is for such a long time, where you can assume that people have always loved Kevin Durant. And now for there to be a sector of people, and some of those people who he may have considered once loving him, for whatever that's worth, not anymore. I mean, I can see where a certain type of person would be hurt by that. Let's take a break. Let's come back and wrap this up, man, so we can get up out of here for the night. It's Hump Day, last show of the week. I mentioned earlier in the show, I got the new cable and internet coming on Friday, so they'll be doing that, and I won't be able to prep for the show on Friday, so we'll come back after tonight's show and do it again on Monday. Thursday night football tomorrow, Rams and 49ers. Yeah, I got DVR to catch up on. So anyway, we'll take a break, come back, wrap the show up, and get on up out of here. It's the One Mic with Big Mike show here live on Spreaker.com, the Spreaker app, tune in, and OneMicWithBigMike.com.
I only have one question for you.
Do you or someone you know run a business that could benefit from additional exposure? The One Mic with Big Mike show is currently taking on new sponsors and advertisers. One Mic with Big Mike is currently syndicated across 8 different online platforms, and your company's name could be heard and seen across all 8 as well.
Let's get to work.
Please send all inquiries to Mike at OneMicWithBigMike.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your continued support.
All I need is one mic.
Go Caleb! Come on, hit a homer, Jesse!
Let's go, guys!
Hey, did you guys know that kids who play sports earn more money when they grow up?
Of course. I knew that.
Hey, did you guys know that kids who read books have a bigger vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow, jinx. Did you guys know that friendly children have more friends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's true, I knew that. Did you guys know that winter babies are better at music?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Oh, hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Huh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And now back to One Mic with Big Mike.
And here we go!
Hump Day! Yeah, man. We on over this hump, man. It's all downhill from here. It's been that way for the last 30 minutes, or some may say the whole hour. Here on the One Mic with Big Mike show, don't forget the show is available. All of my shows are available on demand on Spreaker.com. Download that Spreaker app as well, Spreaker. The TuneIn app, OneMicWithBigMike.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and YouTube, as well as the Facebook live stream. They stay posted on the Facebook page at One Mic with Big Mike. Did y'all hear the story about the mad pooper? Police are searching for a woman who has been named the Mad Pooper after reportedly doing her business while jogging through the neighborhoods of Colorado Springs. That's a city, isn't it? Not a neighborhood. My man Derek Roosh lives out there, former co-worker of mine out there doing radio. Kathy Boudet. She says she found waste outside of her house 7 times. 7 times. Somebody doo-doo outside. Like, that form of disrespect can't be tolerated. These are white people. Oh, I don't have to tell y'all that. Of course these are white people, because it would have been, the story wouldn't have been about the person pooping. It'd been about the person getting shot in the ass for pooping on somebody's yard. Anyway, she found waste outside of her house seven times in recent weeks. and her children once caught the pooper, in the act. Here's a quote. They're like, there's a lady taking a poop. So I come outside and I'm like, are you serious? Are you really taking a poop right in front of my kids? She's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, white people. Like, dude, if that ain't white privilege, I don't know what it is, dude. When you just like jogging, I'm like, look, dude, it's about to go down. Apparently, she keep like paper towels on her. Like, damn, ma, you paper towels? You looking to get chafed and all that? You need some handy wipe. Like, look at me trying to tell her how to poop in somebody's yard. Never mind. Moving right along, man. So we're talking about like sensitivity. Like, it's just something that caught my attention today. Like, all these people are so emotional. Eddie Lacy and Kevin Durant, everybody's all apologetic. And by the way, the other part of this Kevin Durant story is apparently he's got like a secondary, a fake Twitter account in which he uses to defend himself to other people on Twitter and Instagram. Like, it can't be that serious. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me being the 40-year-old. I don't understand that. I don't understand like cyberbullying. I don't understand half of these things, man. That these things are real. You know what I mean? To people. Dwight Howard, the king of sensitivity. My God. Like Dwight Howard, I say this to people all the time because when people hear me talk about Dwight Howard, they get the impression that I don't like Dwight Howard, which would be impossible. I don't know Dwight Howard. I can't remember ever meeting Dwight Howard, but he's just such a fragile human being, man. And this is why, like, when you hear people, like, remember last year George Carl was talking about these cats and pointing out the fact that they have like fathers in their lives and things of that nature. Like, stuff like this illuminates that observation. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude he's talking about in this story, Dwight Howard's talking about having like identity crisis damn near. You know, when he was in LA, or he'd hear people say, quote, you should play more like Shaq. So he tried to bully guys. Who are these people? Coaches? You got coaches on your team, B. And this is the same dude, by the way, who would acknowledge that kind of stuff. Like random people saying you should bully people and play like Shaq, but then ignore guys like Steve Nash when they try to help you. Steve Nash and all of his 90% free throw shooting, trying to show you how to shoot free throws. You ignore him when Kobe retires and they ask you, during your time in LA, what did you learn from playing with Kobe? And you say nothing. But random people can change your game that quickly. He said he'd also hear people say, you smile too much. You should be more like Kobe. So then he tried to put on a mean face and play mad. What? What are you talking about? Like, that's concerning, dude. To the point when my man said after the 2014-15 season, he considered retiring. I guess that's the season with the Rockets. He considered retiring. Miss me with that. You guys remember when Dwight Howard was going to come home to Atlanta and bring a championship? Yeah, I don't either. Oh, yeah, man. These folks down here was so amped about that, man. Yeah, he gonna rekindle his former self. That don't exist no more. He don't exist. Like, the player that he is doesn't exist anymore. A 6'10" dude who's trying to back you down in 2017 NBA. I'm good. Then there's Santana Moss and RG3 going back and forth at each other. Apparently, Santana Moss did an interview in which he talked about how RG3 was gloating about Mike Shanahan being fired, or not even that Mike Shanahan was being fired, but gloating about getting Mike Shanahan fired, which is interesting. You know what I mean? Which, if anybody was going to laugh, honestly, maybe it was RG3. RG3 felt like Mike Shanahan never wanted him, which is why he went back in the third round after drafting this dude second overall and drafted Kirk Cousins in the third round because he never wanted RG3 in the beginning. And then also, he's the same dude that set him out there to tear his body up, which I can't just let Robert Griffith off the hook for that and the way he played, how stupidly he played football. But then Santana Moss was a part of that too. All in the media talking about, yeah, he's a soldier and he's this. Nah, man, you don't need a soldier for a quarterback. You need a dude that can stay healthy. Excuse me. I'm getting phlegmy. It's time to get up out of here in a minute. Yeah. You need a dude that's going to be able to play quarterback. So he also talks about how the reason that he's not in the league right now is because he can't get along with coaches. And it's probably my favorite thing, karma. That bitch karma is why because he's a broken individual. His body's broken. It's probably why he's not in the league right now. The one dude I want to shout out to though in this whole conversation about sensitivity and not being a punk when somebody just says something about you, not being offended. People, is what the media types do. They want to make a big deal of what Ben McAdoo said about Eli Manning. He's got to be better, which is true. He's the face of your franchise. He's your quarterback. He is the guy who people for so long have anointed. He said, I need more out of my quarterback position. You know what I mean? And people look at that as being thrown under the bus. Yeah, not Eli Manning. He said you got to be a big boy. You can't be sensitive, and he's just got to be better. Like, to me, that's grown man talk. If somebody points out something that everybody else can see, and then you decide that you want to be offended by it, that's a you thing, man. Be better. No one can take criticism anymore, man. God, I talked to my wife about this, man, about like the way, and I don't want to be like Mr. Old Man, but like playing ball. Like we play like in college, right? Games on Saturday. On Sunday, you come back, work out, and you would break down the film as a unit, as an entire defense. You sit in the room, in the film room, and everybody would get it. You know what I'm saying? You knew how to take criticism in front of your peers, not be embarrassed, but understand that you got to fix whatever is being pointed out to you. Even if it's a situation where something is embarrassing and funny, it is what it is. And you learn how to be thick-skinned about it. And also you learn what the overall purpose of it is at the end of the day. Now, if somebody's just being a jerk, you should be able to ignore that. Again, every week, my week isn't complete until I'm being called a racist or a race baiter, and somebody says how trash my show is. And I'm fine with that. First of all, thanks for listening. And second of all, like, look, dude, if the best thing that somebody can offer up to me is my show is trash, without saying, what would be better if you did on your show, what I probably like to hear more of, or this, that, and the other. See, those are criticisms that I can vibe with. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily change anything, but you just getting mad because your argument sucks and saying, yeah, your takes are trash, just like that show you do. Okay. Fine. Let's go back to third grade now. It's like whatever. And the sensitivity just doesn't stay. Or the sensitivity that I'm talking about, it permeates, man, to the fan bases and all that. Like, people get so ultra sensitive about anything. If you say something, one little thing about their favorite team, it could be the truest statement of all time. But because you're saying it and they don't recognize you as a part of their clan, you got to be a hater, or they got to start explaining to you why this is not. And all it does is point out very, 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 very strongly that so many people who claim to be like sports fans operate under a heart overhead type of functionality. You know what I'm saying? For example, the other day, I had a Facebook exchange during the Cowboys game. Cowboys were playing, they're getting beat down by the Broncos, right? And I made a comment about Dak Prescott looking like the black Alex Smith, because everything was like these little 6-yard ins and these little 5-yard outs. And I'm like, yo, this is not going to get it done. They're slamming the box with like 8, 9 dudes, telling Ezekiel Elliott, who ended up 9 carries for 8 yards. And then the whole firestorm about him, not putting forth effort and giving up. I'm not talking about that crap. You know what I'm saying? Because all y'all got jobs, and if you can admit to me, if you can step up and say that you work all 8 of your hours from the time you step in the door to the time you leave, holler at me then. Start judging people off of standards that you can't even uphold. Miss me with it. So that whole Ezekiel Elliott gave up situation is played to me. If he played for the Bills, no one would care. But no, So I'm making the point, like, you gotta challenge these dudes. And dudes like, no, a good offensive coordinator takes what the defense gives him. And I'm like, are you an idiot? You feel like only defense dictates what happens in a football game? You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. Those corners, I tried to make the point that in the NFL, the rules tell you that you can take shots because these 50-50 balls, they're not 50-50 balls. When you got one-on-one coverage with an NFL wide receiver, the rules say that dude wearing the 20-something number can't even touch you. So you got just as much chance of, if you don't catch the ball, getting a pass interference or some sort of chunk play that's going to flip the field position for you because of the way the rules are. You can't touch the quarterbacks anymore, so he's comfortable in the pocket. And this dude you could tell he was a Cowboys fan because he got all over himself. He felt like he needed to defend Dak Prescott and all this kind of ridiculousness, man. And look, these are the type of people who, like, if I had to guess, they're like terrible parents. Like the parents who are always rushing to the school to blame the teacher when your kid is the dumb one. You know what I'm saying? Instead of recognizing the deficiencies within your kid, you got to find somebody to blame. Yeah, I'm good. There's a couple other things I want to mention before I get out of here for the day. There's a referee in the NFL being investigated for domestic violence, and it's a real, it's a barn burner, or not a barn burner, but it's a plot twist, is what I guess the word I'm actually looking for. My man Carl Johnson, TMZ, they be on it. They report that the line judge and former NFL vice president of officiating, is under investigation in Louisiana for domestic violence. Johnson has denied the allegations, of course, by a woman who claims she and Johnson lived together in 2016 and began being violent with her in December. The woman claims Johnson broke one of her breast implants and reached out to the NFL in March of this year before going to the police. Wait, what? See, this is the problem I'm having, that I've had. These folks the NFL got people coming to them before they go to the police. Come on, B. By the way, she's a police. She's a former police officer. And she called the NFL before she called the law. Anyway, my man Carl, he falls under the personal conduct situation, but they're going to allow him to continue to work. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're going to allow him to continue to work. I guess in the same vein, Ezekiel Elliott was allowed to continue to work until the investigation was complete, but they still got this whole commissioner's exempt list hanging over Carl's head because he went from the front office or from the NFL offices to become, I guess, the first full-time official in the NFL, get that full-time money and the benefits. So I don't know how that's going to work out. That's just weird, dude. It's just weird. You know what I'm saying? This former police officer calls the league because this dude busts her breast implant. All right, whatever. DeMaurice Smith was reelected as the NFL Players Association director or whatever. I think I want to. Golly, I'm not gonna have time to talk about any of this stuff, man. There is a couple of things I want to mention real quick though, and I'm gonna get up out of here because I know you probably tried to hear my nasally ass voice. I'm tired of hearing it. It was a rough week in college football, and I don't mean like playing the game of college football. I was reading a study today that talked about kids shouldn't be able to play tackle football before 12. And I think the more information that comes out, it's becoming more of a reality. You're seeing it in the registration numbers. And this is the thing that the NFL is really fearful of. More than anything, these kids not signing up for football anymore, not getting that hit of the drug early enough for them. You know what I mean? And finding alternative activities other than football, not even just sports, just anything else. This esports thing is real. Cats is getting scholarships to go to school and play video games, son. It's real deal. But what I was actually referring to, man, in college football, and I'm not sure if you guys heard about this because I know I hadn't. 2 kids died last week on the football field. I mean, during football. Well, one during a football game, if I'm not mistaken. Midwestern State cornerback Robert Graves, he died Tuesday after suffering an apparent serious neck injury while making a tackle Saturday against Texas A&M Kingsville. Yeah, man. He was one of 2 college football players to die on Saturday, and the 5th this year. Who's heard of this? I hadn't heard. Five kids, and I know when you start talking about in the grand scheme of the thousands of kids who play college football, 5 percentage-wise is a small number, but I'm a guest to the 5 families of the kids who lost their lives. Yeah, no one cares. The College of Wooster senior lineman Clayton Geeb died on Monday after reportedly cramping and hyperventilating in the locker room following Saturday's game against Ohio Wesleyan. Kent State offensive lineman Tyler Hines, died of exertional heat stroke following the second day of conditioning drills on June 13th. 3 of the 5 deaths came in the offseason, though. So the other 2, like I mentioned, came this past week. It said Saturday was one of the deadliest for college football in decades. How is that a thing, man? 35 college football players across divisions have died since 2000. That's 2 a year. It's 17, right? So that's 2 a year, and this year ain't over yet. But you got the good old targeting rule, though. I think it's such a stupid rule. Like, none of these kids would have been saved by that, from what I'm reading. But you kick a kid out of the game, man. For a lot of times, what are these borderline, hairline, bang bang type plays, man? I hate that rule because I think it's so much more a matter of grandstanding and saying that we're doing something, which you're really doing nothing. You know what I mean? You're saying you're doing something, but you're not doing anything. Albert Hainsworth is in the news. Apparently, he's being a victim of domestic violence. His estranged ex-wife, I guess, is a former University of Tennessee basketball player, and she's been beating on Fat Albert. I don't really know what else to say about that. He's saying that he don't want her to go to jail. I don't know, man. I'm not even that dude that's like, he a punk or whatever. But like, if it is what it is, people make their decisions, man. She talking about he ain't paying no child. Maybe that's what it is. He don't want to send her ass to jail because he don't want to deal with them kids. If that's the case, also, dude, that's a bad guy move. You know what I mean? That's like, yeah. But I don't know. Excuse me. It is what it is, man. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight on the One Mic with Big Mike show. Like I said, man, no show on Friday because I got to get this cable and internet switched over from Comcast to AT&T. So they'll be working on that. So I'll be back on Monday. We'll break down the weekend of college football. May have a special guest on Monday, man. I reached out to somebody who many of us know, so we can have a conversation about quarterbacking, black guys playing quarterback, the evolution of the position, somebody who knows all too well what it is to have expectations placed upon them and not meet those expectations in the NFL. So I'll keep you guys posted on social media at the number one MICWITHBIGMIKE. Let's try that again. At the number one MICWITHBIGMIKE. One Mic with Big Mike. That's for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget the show is available on demand. Spreaker, the Spreaker app, iTunes, onemicwithbigmike.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and YouTube. So until Monday, y'all be safe out there, man. To all my folks out there affected by them hurricanes, man. If you guys can, man, donate, man. Help those folks out, man, because they're going to need help for many months, years to come, man, rebuilding their lives, man. do your prayer thing or whatever that is, man. But do some tangible stuff too, man. I mean, some stuff that people can feel and hold. That can have immediate effect. Feel me? And remember, all you need is one mic.